Dr. Veena Singh serves as Spokane County's medical examiner. She took over back in 2021. As a forensic pathologist, she conducts autopsies herself and oversees the work of her team. Last year, her staff of 17 performed 862 autopsies. In 2001, that number was less than 400. Stats coinciding with our population increase. And Dr. Singh says year-to-date demand for services is up too. Not every case they get requires an autopsy, but they all need some sort of investigative work. In 2024, they've already handled more than 1,200 cases, and a chunk of those cases are from outside of Spokane. Take a look again at the total autopsies in 2023. 195 of those were referral counties. There's a total of 13 neighboring counties that Dr. Singh accepts cases from. But with Spokane's own complex cases, they're having to cut back. Dr. Singh says recruiting and community outreach are what this profession needs.
We gather here today with heavy hearts as we remember Ruth Bell Waymeyer.
It's a service and proper grave marking that's been 4 decades in the making.
I find comfort that Ruth has her birth name and that she knows that she was loved and she has family members that love her.
Family members who were robbed of ever meeting Ruth Waymeyer. Her killer made sure of that when she was dismembered and dumped.
A torso was discovered in 1984 by a couple of fishermen. Fast forward into 1998, a skull was found near Sacred Heart. They were able to, at that time, to determine that's the same person.
But it would take developments in forensic genealogy to finally reveal Ruth's name. The process to get there, to name the nameless, so passionately pushed by this office.
And it's great to see that extra set of eyes and a different perspective. They're kind of a hybrid. They're half cop and half scientist.
Takes a unique person.
It does.
Those were those little pieces of tissue that I was telling you about.
A person like Dr. Veena Singh.
I find it so fascinating. I sort of evolved into forensic pathology. I was doing my residency or kind of more advanced post-medical school training in surgery. And then I realized that there was this whole other area of surgery, which was autopsy. And then I was like, oh, I didn't even know that existed. I found it.
Not everyone shared her enthusiasm.
When I first started doing this work early in my career, there were a lot more people who thought it was weird. And so people would be like, oh, what do you do? And you tell them and they'd be like, oh, okay. And they'd kind of move away from you a little bit.
She didn't care.
There is a shortage of forensic pathologists, as you know. And so there's a lot of jobs open.
But serving as Spokane County's chief medical examiner was the right fit.
Yeah, I just had my 3-year anniversary.
During that time, she's made headlines for amending the manner of death for some high-profile cases, like that of Kayla Williams, whose body was found dismembered in some sleeping and trash bags back in 2012. The previous administration ruled the manner to be undetermined. Dr. Singh took a second look, changing it to homicide.
By the grace of God, someone acted in our behalf.
Dr. Singh's commitment to doing what's right in all cases.
We have a certain responsibility to find out what happened.
Is something that requires a team.
I love this office. I think we're doing some amazing things here. I love my staff.
Because they too just want to make this community better, safer.
There still is kind of a stigma around death and people who are working in death and around death and people who care about dead bodies. I think there's still a feeling that that's a little bit weird and people don't realize how much you can learn.
And truly help.
Pathology really underpins all of medicine. It's sort of under the radar as a field.
She tries to do her part to change that, meeting with high schoolers.
We have here in this office a full body x-ray machine and a CT scanner.
To those nearing med school's end.
It's a little bit different than what I expected. Everybody says kind of drinking from the fire hose, which I think is very true, but it's all information that I've been craving to learn.
It's outreach that may help fill the void in coming years, but the need is also now. For months, she's worked to fill an approved and much-needed position for a 4th pathologist. As population increases, so does the need.
It really nowadays depends on who has capacity.
Everyone deserves to have their name back.
And people who, like Dr. Singh, just have a calling to be advocates for those who can no longer do so for themselves.
I wish that I could meet each and every one of them and give them a hug and say thank you for their dedication, for not giving up on this beautiful person.